Welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome to another commentary. Tonight I will be discussing my opinion on the Sean Combs documentary, The Reckoning, and where there be a new indictment. So when you come in, come on in, smash that like button, comment, subscribe to the channel. Trying to build up my channel. So come on in. I hope your day was a good day. Nice and cold outside. I know it's football Sunday and everybody probably home watching the football game. So I won't hold y'all for too long, but I do want to share my opinion on this documentary. I gotta say 50 Cent did a good job, say the least. He put it together to give us a better understanding of who Sean Combs really is. And I think it was a good documentary. Um, I really enjoyed watching it. It was very informative, and it answered a lot of my questions I had over the past about Sean Combs. Um, how he used his fame and fortune, you know, to control people, to control his artists, to control everybody who came in his presence. Um, the documentary was very good. I came up with a lot of stuff while I was watching this. So, in my opinion, he abused his power. He crossed a lot of boundaries when it came to his artists, when it came to him, starting out his own label, doing his own thing. It shared a whole lot of insight on what was going on. What's up, Shank? Salute, bro. Salute to you. Good to see you over here. So yeah, I just want to share my opinion on this documentary. Like I said, it was very intrigued, very informative, shed some light on some things that I always had questions about, Sean. And it's sad how so many people knew what Diddy was doing and they kept quiet about it. So that made me wonder how many more celebrities in power doing these things behind closed doors and nobody is speaking up about it. It's sad that so many people had to go through his abuse and they was fearful of him that they didn't want to share what was going on behind the scenes. You know, um, I feel bad for Cassie, Capricorn, all of them, but Kirk Burrows, he made a lot of valuable points, you know, about Sean and how Sean did him. He assaulted Kirk Burrows. You know, Kirk Burrows had a lot of inside scoop because he was there. You know, he had a lot of insight information on what was going on. And this brought me to the point of with a fast look into this, will there be a new indictment? Because the facts about Tupac murder, it was loud and clear. Keefe D spoke about how Diddy paid them to get rid of him and Suge Knight. And, he got Zip got paid So Keefy D didn't get his cut, but he also put that on the table. Sean paid them all. He put a hit on Tupac. He put a hit on Suge Knight, and Tupac got shot up. You know, uh, I feel like if they would have done a thorough investigation at the time of Tupac murder, he probably would have been locked up a long time ago. Cause Sean, He did a lot of stuff that would cause him to stay in jail for a long time, for a long period of time. You know, um, it's crazy what these celebrities in power can get away with. You know, for years, fans been celebrating these celebrities without even questioning, you know, what they doing or what they have done. You know, when somebody as powerful as Diddy is, and being a icon, some people don't see the other side of the picture. He had done a lot of wrongdoing in his career, in his life, and you know, culturally people didn't see it. My opinion was that said okay, would you say my opinion was that it was all he said hearsay. Um I don't agree with that. Um when somebody say something about somebody and they got facts to back it up, it's more than what that person is saying. You know what I'm saying? Keefy D had facts that Puffy paid them off to get rid of Tupac. So I don't know how that could be hearsay when he had facts. The facts was that Puff Daddy set up a hit on Tupac and Suge Knight. That's the facts. He was paying them off to get rid of them. He only received partial payments because Suge didn't die. Keefy D didn't get the money. Zip ran out on with the money. If Keefy D had facts, then Diddy would have been in jail. Excuses would have been excuse would have been jail. Well, I don't think they did a thorough investigation when they did take his testimony to investigate Diddy. But in my opinion, I think Diddy probably paid off the police officers. Who knows? He had enough money to get rid of a lot of stuff. Keefy D got like 3 stories. Okay, true that. But it was a if you saw the document the if you saw the if you saw the story on YouTube, there was a videotape that was never seen with Keefy D sharing his testimony about that. Keith and Shug was hanging out afterwards. Maybe so, but I mean, like I said, everybody ain't gonna tell on. He ain't gonna tell on himself. You know what I'm saying? Even if they was hanging out afterwards, he ain't gonna tell on himself. Orlando, his cousin, is the one that pulled the trigger. Okay, he's the one that pulled the trigger, but he's not here to tell his side of the story. It's a lot to these stories. I agree. I totally agree. It is a lot to these stories. And there's always 3 sides to these stories. Yeah, his side, they side, and the truth. This is just to this is just a negative. It could be. But like I said, I don't put past nothing past nobody. Diddy was a snake. Point blank period. Diddy was a snake. Amen, Diddy. Diddy was a snake. Diddy abused a lot of people. He used his power. He manipulated a lot of people. He intimidated a lot of people. He had a lot of people fear of him. I agree with that too. Everybody in the industry is a snake. But who gonna weed them out? Who gonna go pick them out? I think the industry is a demonic place. You know, is a cut dry situation where either you sell your soul or you're not gonna make it big. 50 then 50 then did just as worse. Yet he's the one making the documentary. Uh, right. He tried to kill his baby mama kid. Well, Raider, like I said, I don't, how can I put this? When it comes to these celebrities, these artists, these people in power, all that, I don't put nothing past nobody. Everybody got some dirt on them. But I guess it's the one who dirt speaks the loudest is going to be the one who is going to be showed out. So it's possible all of them got dirt on them. But who's shining the most? The spotlight is on Diddy, not 50 at the moment. So until we can pull everything out on everybody, then hey, it be what it is. But right now, they got the spotlight on Sean Combs. Diddy, 50 Cent made a documentary. I hate typing, but all I'm saying is all this been out, but they just changed their narrative. That's true too. But who was at fault with this? The narrative changed all the time. But for me, I like the facts. I like the truth. You know what I'm saying? And if there's any truth behind what I witnessed in this documentary, then it is what it is. So, like I said, did he use his power? You know, that just let me to know, no matter how big you are, you're not beyond scrutiny. You know, and working in the industry, you know, a lot of things take place. And it's sad for somebody who are very gifted and talented have to go through this dark hole just to be famous, just to make it big. You know, I think it's a shame that this is what they have to go through. You know, I don't think nobody should be taken advantage of in that fashion just because they want to be a star. I don't think nobody should be abused and taken for granted just because they want to be a star. I think everybody should be held accountable for for the part they play when it comes to um, the sexual assaults, the sexual abuse, you know, the mishandling of power. It's clear that they lying on Diddy about this Pac case. First, the story was that there was $1 million check paid, but Zip kept it. Now it's in this doc, and that's what I heard back when too. It was a story out that $1 million payment was paid out, and Zip kept the money and bought a nightclub with the money. Keefy D didn't get his cut. And I also heard that he only got half because Shug didn't die. It's just 500 because, yes, because Shug survived. Right. So you say they lying. Orlando did not shoot Pap. How could he be going around bragging about it while also being in hiding? That's a good question. That's a good question. But you know, a lot of people who do harm or do damage feel like they can't be touched. So they can still brag about it. So I don't know how much hiding he did in that sense, but it was known that he pulled the trigger. So I can only go off of what I saw. But Tupac is not here to tell his side of the story, and Shub ain't giving up no names. Even though Shub know, and I think he know, but he ain't trying to be no snitch, like he said in jail. He ain't snitching on nobody. But I'm quite sure Shub probably have an idea who he saw that night when the bullets came through that car. So it just, his word against whoever word, but this is what has been brought out to our attention, um, that Orlando Brown pulled the trigger and Puffy set it up. So I don't know. But I just came to share my opinion on the documentary and how I perceived it, my take and what I think about the whole, situation with Diddy. Now, I know over the years, growing up in that era, you know, I never really been a fan of Diddy, but I did like his music. But it was always something with him because to me, he was arrogant. You know, he's arrogant. He was self-centered. He was selfish. He wanted to make it big, and he made it big. But like I said in the beginning, he misused his power. Because he felt like he couldn't be touched. Did he always pay his way out of everything? You know what I'm saying? I don't care what it is. Did he always pay his way out? And there were people in his circle who knew about what he was doing, but they refused to say anything because they was fearful of him. Puff and Biggie were no gangsters. No, they wasn't. But Puff wanted to be a gangster. He had the Crips, the guys from Harlem, but he never was a gangster. But he come from that background because his father was a big drug dealer. His mother hustled. His mother did things. So he came from that upbringing, and he only emulate what he saw. So he was far away from being a gangster. But like I said, he wanted to be big, and he made it big. But the people he stepped on to get to the top, I don't think that was good. I think he used his artist to the best of his ability, to his advantage. That's why a lot of people was cutting ties with him because he wasn't giving them a fair deal. You know, um, he misused his power. Salute to you. Thanks for pulling up. Make sure you hit that like button on your way out. Appreciate you. Okay, even when he was with Mace. You're right, Latoya. He was. When he was singing with Mace, trying to get Mace to do it, that's when Mace recognized from an early start that Diddy how treacherous Diddy was. He told him he didn't want to work with him no more. He wanted to do something else. Like I said, every person that Diddy came in contact with, Faith Evans, Jodeci, Heavy D, all them, he took them for granted. He used them. You know, he kept Biggie masters. He didn't want to give over his masters, his royalties. Anything that he could profit off, he used it. He used it for his advantage. And he became one of the biggest powerful mogul in hip hop history. Now I ain't gonna say he didn't put our culture on the map, far as moving in the direction of the music. He did that. But it was behind the scenes of what he was doing that caused us to not like Diddy. Well, for me, it caused me not to like him because of his urgency for him to be self-centered and whatnot. So, yeah. And everything I said over here is allegedly. Let me read my disclaimer. Okay, copyright disclaimer. Under section of under section Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use of purposes such as criticism, comments, news, reporting, scholarship, and research. So everything I say over here is allegedly, and it's my opinion, and nobody can take my opinion. So this is how I feel about um, the whole thing, of the documentary. So I came up with some facts that I'm gonna read off. I feel like when somebody have this much power to this extreme, boundaries are blurred. People cross boundaries. They don't respect other people's boundaries when they got this much power and fame. The documentary helped me to see how manipulative he could be, even in the wealthiest part of Hollywood. You know, um, like I said, for years, fans celebrated him without even questioning his behavior because they figure in their mind that Diddy could do no wrong. When we saw how wrong Diddy can do, and for him to get on social media and make a statement about him not doing nothing wrong to nobody was a flat lie because a couple of weeks after that, the tape came out on how he assaulted Cassie in that hotel. Now, he took cold advantage of her. Now, I ain't say Cassie was, innocent of some things. It's a part she played in it. But the abuse part, nobody is asked to be abused. So Diddy ain't had no right putting his hands on her the way he did. You know, that documentary, it challenged me to see the real essence of his character. You know, and they raised some questions about how we protect black women in the industry. We need to hold black men accountable without feeding harmful stereotypes. We need to hold them accountable, you know, um, and how they act when they're in power. Because I felt that was a traumatic experience for the women who had to work under him, not knowing if he was going to sexualize them or intimidate them or sexual assault them. That's a horrible way to work under somebody trying to, do your best and be there, and you feel intimidated by what somebody might do to you. It's crazy. You know, these people in the industry got to do better. They got to do better. you know, I hope and pray that we come to a place where people can feel more safe to speak out when they see things wrong, when they see something wrong. I hope we come to a place where the industry can be reformed. It needs to be reevaluated, you know, because if you take a deeper look, you got these executives, you got these artists who may have used they power in the worst way possible, how they harming other people in the industry just to get to where they want to get to. I think it's sad that anybody who dreamed to become a star had to endure this type of treatment. I think it's sad, you know, that they can't recognize these abuses when they happen. I think this documentary is set the tone for a deeper investigation. I think it set the tone for him to be re-looked at. And it shows how he used his power to abuse people in the industry. And I hope he is held accountable for every part that he played in it, because I feel like the prosecutors, when they tried Diddy in the record turn and the RICO charge, they didn't have enough evidence to really, and charge him with the RICO or the record turn. But they had a lot of other stuff he could have been charged for. You know, I mean, the drug use, you know, the weapon, you know, the assault, the domestic violence. I mean, it's a lot that we saw in these 30 years that Diddy did that he could have been charged for and sent to jail for the rest of his life for. But because the prosecutor didn't do a thorough job to get the facts that they need to really stick to him, this is what came out of it. He doing his little 3-4 years and he coming home, and ain't no guarantee that he gonna do right when he come home. So I just wish they would have did a very thorough job, because like I said in the beginning, it's known to say that he paid off Keefe D to get rid of Tupac, because he was jealous of Tupac and Biggie relationship. It's a lot they could have got Diddy on. And from watching this documentary, all that came to light. So I wonder if there's going to be a new indictment. But they come up with some new charges. They got factual evidence putting Diddy in a place where he was when these events was unfolding. Keefe D made a statement. He made a statement with the police stating the fact that, he got paid to ace off Tupac. Who paid him? Puffy did. That's on tape. And I don't understand why they didn't go forth with that to look into why he wasn't charged for putting a hit on Tupac. So it's a lot of questions, a lot of unanswered questions, and why it didn't take place. This documentary, it highlighted how fame, wealth, and industry connection make Shield powerful figures. I don't understand why they cover up for these people. You know, when those allegations came out, and knowing the fact that some of these artists was getting exploited, knowing the fact he got managers, executives, etc., why everybody kept quiet is what I want to know. Knowing the fact that Diddy was wrong, knowing the fact he was doing something bad, knowing the fact all the evidence is right there. I mean, come on, ain't nowhere in the world a person, in my opinion, can have that much power where people would fear them to that point. I mean, I don't know. I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think so. But actually, I guess it is because nobody said nothing. Because they was fearful of their job, their life, their family, what could take place. And it's sad because it's like he known to tell you what he gonna do to you if you did such and such. He tampered with witness. I mean, good Lord, it's crazy. It's crazy how they allowed this man to get away with so much for so long. And then when they finally catch up to him, they only give him the man that. That's crazy to me. Like the other stuff didn't even matter, which we know it does matter. His former associates in the industry. I mean, you got inside people who got information and scared to share it. You know, and the media only covers what the media wants to cover, just to build context on what's surrounding Diddy. It's not showing everything that Diddy done, but it's only showing something to put it in context of what he was doing. And this tells me how they was just isolating his behavior, because this is a pattern for Diddy. This is known pattern for Diddy. Diddy been showing these patterns for over 30 something years. And it ain't no isolated incident. He was known to speak to people any type of way. He was known, to assault, abuse people. He was known to do so. And like I said, coming up from how he came up, his father being a hustler, his mother being a hustler, his mother, having freak off parties when he was young. She had him in the midst of it. So he emulate what he saw. I get that. But I'm quite sure it was other people around him that could pull him out and say, son, this ain't the way to go. This ain't the right way of doing things. I mean, even with that college thing, he set up that college thing when the 9 people got killed. He came out of that. When he went in the nightclub and shot up people, Shine took the fall for that. It's just ironic to me. It's just crazy to me how he and got himself in so much but ain't getting the time for it. It's crazy how influence can shape careers and silence people. How individual can be faced while working around comes. The fear, the loyalty. It was a lot of people loyal to him, and they was loyal because they fear him. They fear what he might do to them. You know, the systematic abuse, how systematic issues allow misconduct to go unchecked. You know, a lot of his behavior went unchecked. Nobody was there to check him. You got image versus reality. His his personal persona opposed to his private behavior. He can act very good in public, when he up in the spotlights, like he can't do no wrong. But behind closed doors, he a monster, you know. And this is what the media don't get to see, how enraged he can become and act out on his rage and don't care who he impact or who he touch. You know, nobody wanted to confront him. You know, these powerful figures need to be checked. We need to have open conversations about how these artists can be protected from this type of behavior, especially women of color, because I think they dominates when it comes to women in color because they feel they can take advantage of them and do whatever it is, and having these women sell their soul just for fame and fortune. But most times, some of them don't even make it, and they can be very talented and very gifted in they feel, but they overlook because they've been controlled by the industry. It's a dark and weary place when it comes to this industry, and a lot of people don't understand how it is. Sad situation, but it's true. I think they need to start taking accountability for their actions, and you know, in the black entertainment history, they need to start taking being accountable for what they doing. And I think by watching this documentary, I think it only forced our culture to examine how we treat celebrities and the victim of them. You know, it challenged us to look beyond the success and stop excusing harmful behavior. We need to start making excuses for when they does something to people, when they harm them. You know, he definitely was a hip hop figure. He built bad boys. He launched a lot of he launched a lot of careers of a lot of artists. You know, um, he known for his business empire. Like he did very well. Had the liquor brand. He that went wrong. You know, like I said, he always put on his public persona, being flashy, charismatic. Um, I can't even say this word. Charismatic. Y'all might know what I'm saying, but anyway, he thought he was unmatched. He was untouched. He had good marketing skills, but you know, he just took it to the max. He branded himself as a success story because his hustle and his ambition, but he just let his power go to his head. He was one of the most powerful black industry mogul of our generation. But like I said, he let his power dictate and mess up reputation. You know, he just let his power go to his head and messed up relations with the people he was working for. You know, Andre Harrell. gave him a shot, brought him in. He thought he was bigger than Andre Durrell. Uh, he thought he was bigger than Andre. That's why Andre had to fire him. So he went to build his own thing. And he just totally took things out of control. And I know a lot of people say they was afraid to speak out due to his power. You know, I just had one question. Who knew and for how long did they know Diddy was a monster? Stuff like this shouldn't go unnoticed. Stuff like this shouldn't be swept under the rug. You know, and we can do better as a people. But I just wanted to come over and give y'all my opinion and how I feel about this documentary. Like I said, I think 50 Cent did an excellent job putting it together. I think he did good just bringing it all together, letting us know uh, what Sean Combs is all about, even though we already know. But that's my 2 cents. And hopefully someone will come out this to make other celebrities who in power do better. I don't know if the industry will ever get better, but I hope it do, because we got people out here still rising, still shining, still want to be a star, still want to make it in the industry, still want to do things. And I feel nobody should have to sell their soul to the devil to be a star. Nobody should have to sell their soul to the devil to be great. So I kind of feel for them. So I thank everybody for pulling up. I appreciate your input. And make sure you smash that like button. Make you subscribe to my channel. Still trying to grow. Still trying to get my channel up. If you want to support, you can cash out at One Bro. That's JUANBRO. And hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Peace.